Alright, hello everyone. This is going to be the Sagittarius Cup. This is going to be the Nakayama 2500 meters. This is only 100 meters more than the Taurus Cup, so it's actually considered a fake long CM. You will not be able to use Mystifying Murmur in this CM, but you will basically be around the same stamina as your Taurus Cup. Right? For the hill situation, we have 3 hills as well as 1 long downhill at the 1100 meters position. Right? The hills are not in any particularly important positions, except the downhill is good for your go home specialist and the uphill is good for your restless, for your recovery purposes. Right? For your straight line, we do have a straight line at the 1667 meters position, haha, funny number, where you can activate your end closer skills because straight lines are very good for straightaway spurt, right? And then you have a third corner. Third corner is very good for your Ryan uniques or your Dober unique or your Anglian scheming unique, while the final corner is at 1950 meters, which is not good because that means that your Maru and your Taiki shuttle uniques are going to activate way too late. Then we also have a straight line, final straight at 2200 meters. So if any of your horses are mostly final straight horses, their 2200 meters is going to become very mediocre. It's not going to be that impactful compared to having excels as well as speed carryovers or as well as mid-leg speeds to help you to get to a good position, right? So just take note of that. Also note that this is winter runner, all right? It's winter runner, not any other runner. Okay, moving on to the parents, we do have basically a very backliner focused CM in this track is because this is going to be another long CM. Long CM is going to be very backliner focused until the really long specialized horses come out for the other positions, such as Blaze Bryan for Pace Chaser and your Kitasan Black for your front runner position. Right, for the S rank parentage we're looking at here is like what I said just now, Anglian scheming, very important for your front runners. For your lucky paces, also can try to use that. After that, you also have your backliners using Dober and Ryan. Right, if you ask me which one is better, then Dober is going to be better because it is the 5th and 6th position unique. So it has 2 possible activation areas, right? The downside is that if you are rushed, you basically cannot activate the Dober unique at all. But the fact that it's 5 and 6 is very, very valuable. Of course, I do want to recommend people to buy both of them because it's still very, very good to gamble, right? Gambling is good, so get both of them if you can. If you want to save some skill points, then go ahead and only buy Dober and then throw away Ryan instead because Ryan is only 6 but Dober is 5 and 6. Right, for Narita Bryan, she's actually supposed to be a bit lower. She's actually in the A tier. That's because this horse, the unique, is not as high rolly as the other CMs, but it's still a mid-leg speed skill, so it's still very, very valuable to use. After that, we have Kiss of Courage from your Esmaru, which is very good, and you also have Bakushin's unique, which is also very good. These are used for your front runners in order to obtain your first position. First position is key for your front runners in order to win. For B ranks, you basically have all of your finishing speeds, such as Oguri Cat, Fuji Kiseki, as well as Symboli Rudolph. These horses are just here to finish the game and nothing else. These are the last things that you should buy. Mid-leg speed skills are always going to be a lot more valuable than any other position. Moving on to the stat lines for the Sagittarius Cup, you will want to get around 1000 stamina for your front end pace with 1 go recovery and 500 guts. For your backliners, you want 901 stamina as well as 1 go recovery. Why is it 901? That is because there is a stat threshold for this track. At every 300 for stamina and every 300 for guts, you can get an additional speed bonus. So 901 would be good to help you to get that bonus. Alright. However, you actually can go crazier for this CM if you have the cuts and the willpower to do it, which is that you can just go straight up for 1200 stamina as a front or pace, or 1100 stamina as a late or end. That's because you can straight up survive without any go recovery, which actually helps to save a lot of skill points to buy other things. So if you want to go ahead and min-max to that level, feel free to. Some of us may not have the stat lines or the right horses to do it. Those horses with the stamina growth of 20% will be able to do this much easier than those without it, right? So that's something to really, really take note of when you are training your horses. You can try to min-max and just pump up that stamina really, really high. Notably, Go Ship, Mayano all have that stamina growth, so haha, funny characters that are free. Very, very good for you, right? Then for wits and power, what is the good threshold to try and get it to? Well, just try to pump it up as much as possible without sacrificing either one too much. For guts, you do want to try to get 500, but if you get less, then never mind, just pump up more stamina instead to compensate for it, right? For power and wits, both of them are important for this track because there's 1 long downhill, there's 3 uphills, and you still need the wits for activation, you still need the power for all of those goddamn hills as well as acceleration in particular, right? So definitely something to go and try your best to hit, right? It's a long CM, so if you have to sacrifice wit, then sacrifice wit, all right? We've seen this before in Debra Cups. You are all experienced already at this, all right? Moving on to the actual tier list. The rating for this tier list here is going to be basically ease of use. We will take note of the aptitudes of the horses, and for the positions, I only put mostly the most commonly used position for these horses. If you want to actually shove them into certain positions, I will explain why you want to, and you can go ahead and do that yourself, because that one is a little bit more min-maxy, so not everyone's going to be able to do that. Alright, so let's start off with the F tier horses first. For the F tier horses, these horses just don't have gold recoveries, in case you wanted to go for the standard path, which is just going for 1000 plus gold recovery or something like that, right? So having a gold recovery is helpful for helping you to go and hit these stamina thresholds without hunting down for specific cuts, but also not super important because we now have Swinging Maestro from your Rice Shower Power as well as your Super Creek, so that one's not really such a major consideration. The other consideration is that they're super hard to make. These horses here have a requirement for turf sparks or a big requirement for long sparks, which is very, very annoying, or their innate skills are just not very good for these tracks, right? So for all these FT horses over here, do note that if you want to make them, it's just a lot of effort. If you have money and time, feel free to pump them full of money and cards in order to make them become the godlike horses that you want them to be, because this is Arima Kinen. If you want to, you can make Haru Rara win Arima Kinen in an actual champions meet. This will be your opportunity to try it, right? But don't ask me to do it, because I will not be suffering that much in order to make Haru Rara win, right? For the other things to note, we also have Marzanski and Taiki Shuttle here. The monsters have been laid low here just because the final corner is really very far from the ideal position, so their uniques are not going to be very good. Notably, they also don't have any long skills inside of their innate kit, so they're not going to be that strong, right? Moving on to the C tiers, your horses here now have something going on, right? They at least have some good skills inside of them that are usable for a long CM. They at least have some goal recovery inside of them, or some sort of notable goal skill that is able to be used to survive in a long CM, so you can definitely do that. But survivor horses for this CM is not going to be that important. But however, if you look at these C-tier horses and you think they can't win, well, it's NSM gaming, right? If you just hit NSM at a good timing and you have all the good excels and somehow everyone else misses everything because everyone's bid is very low, all of these horses can still pull out victories, alright? We've seen Teo win before, we've seen King Halo win before, we've seen the craziest shit win before on this channel. So really anything can win over here, don't worry about it so much. If your Oshi is here, no problem. If you want to make your Vampire Rice Shower into a debuffer, also no problem. I saw that a lot in Libra Cup. It had some sort of effect, sometimes not really going to affect that much, but it does have some effect depending on how weak your opponents are, right? Matikane full armor here actually should not be in the C tier. I think she should be in B tier at least, but I think I might have moved her a little bit wrongly, because ultimately for late surges, as long as you gamble, you can just hit everything, right? You may be lacking spurt, but you still have NSM, Dober unique and Ryan unique, so it's definitely not out, right? Definitely winnable position. It's just team com dependent, which is going to be a little bit problematic for this CM, right? For the B tier, basically go recovery or gamble. Your horses, if they can be forced into enclosure, I actually would recommend you to try to force them into enclosure. If you want to force them into late surger, it's also not too bad of an idea, but enclosure is a bit better because straight away spurt is a very solid skill for this track, right? So you can use your enclosure forcefully, right? Or you can just make them into pace chasers and late surgers and then just play for their gambling skills already, right? Play for NSM, play for rocket launcher strategy, play for on your left activation, ignited spirit power, NSM proc. Basically just NSM, NSM, NSM. Anything here can win. Having a goal recovery allows you to basically get that goal recovery for free, and then you can go and cut out one of your cards to go and do other stuff, right? For only some people can do it. Not everyone can do that. And most of the time, having the goal recovery can help you to spare one card, but that's only for an actual long CM. But this is not an actual long CM. This is a fake long CM. So buying a Swinging Maestro is actually more than sufficient to survive. But if you want to be super safe, you can feel free to buy two, right? You can buy two if you want to be super safe, because the width is ultimately still really low, right? So just buying one goal recovery may not be too safe for a lot of us. Then you just buy multiple goal recovery, and that will make you a little bit more safe, right? But in this CM, because the stamina requirement is not so terrible, going for high width is actually not too much of an impossibility for quite a lot of people with good cards now, right? Moving on to the A tiers, we basically have some of the more generic horses as well as the front runners here. Any horse over here can win, really, right? Using Suzuka, for example, you can just catapult all of these horses into victory as a pace chaser. You can play all of them late surges and just play gambling, or you can force all of them into enclosure and just play for enclosure activations for all of your skills. Play for spurt, play for NSM, play for Umastand, play for whatever the hell you want. It's the exact same as Libra Cup, literally. It's just that the corner and the straight are pretty damn close, so that you're actually able to gamble as a final corner unique activator, which is, for example, your Satan Sky. Satan Sky is going to be very, very solid for this CM, no problem at all. Right? Oguri is here, Special Week is here, Dotto is here, Brian is here, Daiwa is here, New Year TM Opera O is here because she's very well suited for this track, very, very well suited. If you want to make TM Opera O, she really has a lot of good stuff here. I believe she has Winter, and she also has a very strong unique, which is just activating 7 skills, and you can get a huge boost to your speed, which is actually very, very valuable and very rare. You will see New Year TM Opera O become a very godlike parent for a lot of CMs in the future because her unique is just very, very well timed most of the time. Right, so this TM Opera O is definitely very, very good. Right, so yeah, then for the frontrunners, Seiyon Sky is very powerful, able to win because her XL is literally 0.4. For Esmaru, she will not be able to get 0.4 XL, so you may need to get a little bit more gambling into her, or make sure you're able to go and fight really, really hard in order to get a very big gap between you and the backliners. But remember, if backliners hit a lot of their stuff and an NSM perfectly procced, you might be in trouble. So gambling with the frontrunner may be a good solution to try to at least contest these backliners from running you down, depending on what kind of stat lines you can hit also. Right? Doble is here in A tier rather than S tier because the horse itself is not designed for long. The horse has all-seeing eyes as well as long F, if I remember correctly. So that means that training her is a little bit harder than Ryan. Ryan is can be used for long quite more easily than your Dober over here, right? You can use Dober, however, just because of her unique, she's definitely doable. It's not impossible, it's only long F, so if you just re-roll a bunch of times, you can definitely hit the requirement for Dober, no problem. It's just that you need to go and find all the other skills elsewhere, which is not really too hard. Her unique is really hard carrying her, right? 0.4 XL plus another bit of XL from other options, as well as a lot of good mid-leg speed skills. Boom, you can easily get a victory with your Majuro Dober, no problem. Right, for your S rank horses, end closers, baby. Welcome to end closer gaming again. You will see a lot of enclosers in this CM, which may be a problem for the late surgers because getting the number 6 and 5 position is going to be a little bit hard when there's a lot of backliners, right? Then everyone's fighting for that 6 or 5. But at the same time, if you yourself put 3 horses of all backliners, you can also sometimes adjust the odds in your favor. At least someone's going to be able to hit, right? So that's something that you could do also, right? For enclosers, you can use Manhattan, you can use Tamamo Cross. Her unique actually speed carry over here is actually very, very solid. She also has straightaway spurt by default, Tamamo Cross, so if you want to go and use her, no problem. Taishin has Encroaching Shadow, Goship has Umastan, Mayana Top Gun has straightaway spurt from her special event. All of these horses are perfectly viable for anything that you want to do, whether it be gambling encloser, gambling late surger, gambling pace chaser. Probably not the ideal, but that's possible. And then yeah, these are all of the different things that you can use for this backliner focus CM again, right? Majuro Ryan is also here, because just hitting number 6 means that you're going to have a very, very good time. It's just the problem is that it's lobby dependent. Yeah. Alright, and then for the last one, this is the trickiest one to explain. For every single CM, I basically need to tell you which recoveries to buy for Xmas Oguri because she's so damn special, which is very, very annoying, but I do love Oguri a lot. So this is well deserved, honestly. Oguri in this CM is not Thanos. She is not going to be dominating the entire CM, but she is going to be very solid. She's more of a gambler type horse right now. She's not going to be like activate 4 recoveries, guaranteed win. She's more like I can activate these, and if I hit it at good timing, I can win. But if I don't activate these, I lose. That kind of horse, right? So it's as gambly as the rest of them. You need to hit NSM good timing. You need to activate your 3 to 4 recoveries. You need to use 777 as the activator or any of the other corner recoveries to activate. And that's how Oguri rolls, really, right? You're just a gambler just like the rest of them, but Oguri is very easy to make. I do highly rate the horses that are very, very easy to make because these horses are very good for the jobbers in particular, or the F2Pers who just want to get a horse out with and done with. Oguri has 15% speed and 15% stamina. This is not something to laugh about. This is something that's very, very powerful, in addition to the fact that she has innate recoveries, like 1 million innate recoveries. So Xmas Oguri is very, very, very easy to make, right? So don't worry about it. For any jobber, you may not have a very high win rate with her, but you will win with her, and she is very fast to make. Very, very fast. Right, moving on to the skills list, right? What skills are we looking for all of my different positions? For frontrunner, look for your classic stuff. Early lead, groundwork, angling, scheming, your several greens, your focus, as well as your recovery for whatever stamina needs you need, or just speed skills. Alright, the cards that you'll be looking for are Mihono Bourbon Wit primarily, and if you want, you can go and use your Smart Falcon power for getting easy access to groundwork, although this is a long CM, so I highly recommend just getting the spark to pass into your horse rather than using the groundwork power cut, because it might be very awkward to try to hit your stamina requirements with a power cut like Smart Falcon. Right? But if you want to do it, no problem. For all of the wheel decks, note that you can of course use the classic combo of double power decks with stamina bonus like Hishi Amazon MLB, plus your Rice Shower whenever she gets a stam bonus, which is 1 LB. And then you just keep clicking them to get stamina bonus, inherit a little bit more stamina, and kabam, you can get a lot of power, a lot of stamina, and actually quite a substantial amount of wit if you just throw in 1 wit card. Right, so that is pretty much what you can do for any of these wheel decks over here. Do note that if your horse does not have the 15% or 20% speed bonus, you may need to add more speed cards to make your life a little bit easier. But if you want to suffer and just reroll until you hit, feel free to throw in 2 speed cards and just pray, because it's always possible, but it's just very, very painful. Right, moving on to Pace Chasers. This is probably the weakest position for this entire Champions Meet. No Taiki Shuttle, no Nishino Flower, no Marozensky. Basically, we don't really have any other parents that we can use to give us more gambling accelerations. We only have Head-On, which is RNG. We have NSM, which everyone has, so it's really not a big difference. And then we also have Ignited Spirit Power, which also everyone has. So we literally have what everyone has, but we have nothing that belongs to us as a Pace Chaser. So Pace Chaser is probably the weakest position. Can they win though? Depends on which Pace Chaser we are talking about. Are you Daiwa Scarlet? Because then you can just Rocket Launcher with Suzuka and no problem. Toto, exactly the same. Rocket Launcher, no problem. You basically will want to try to get good ass XLs as much as possible, and you just pray for NSM, and you have to go for a very specific strategy to make your Pace Chasers win, such as praying for the lucky pace position. Maybe that plus angling and scheming plus NSM somehow will actually be able to give you that victory. So basically you play like an overtaker, right? You use 1 sacrifice horse, the Pace Chaser overtakes, and then after that NSM activate as well as your own unique activate, and zoom, you go all the way to the end of the game, right? That's something that you can do as a Pace Chaser. There's no particularly important skills that you can hunt for as a Pace Chaser, except maybe Umastand, because this is once again a 2500 meters track. So if you use Umastand, it can be like a mini groundwork where it helps you to fight all the other Pace Chasers and secures you your first place as a Pace Chaser, allowing you to get your angling and scheming. So something like that is actually something to consider when you're looking for your Umastand, right? After that, we have Late Surgers and Enclosers. They are fundamentally the exact same characters, because they are just here to pray for their NSM proc, for their spurt or on your left proc, or their pump proc, or their moving past and beyond proc. They are almost exactly the same when it comes to accelerations, except for spurt and slick search / on your left. That's the only 2 differences between these 2 positions over here. So just by your gambling skills, if you want to improve the odds of NSM proc, then make sure you have some sacrifices placed somewhere to purposely lose so that you can go and use them to rocket launcher your way up. This is not so easy, however, because this is not a front runner position. Front runner position is much easier to do such very targeted strategies. But for example, you could put a Late Surger and then use that Late Surger to specifically fire off your Encloser, but that can also end up backfiring. So ultimately, just stack. Just stack multiple horses in the positions, and then that improves your odds of hitting 6 and number 5 as well as your NSM, right? Because as long as there's a bunch of them, eventually someone's blocking someone, and eventually that one person, pray for a good proc, boom, can win the game, right? That's how the Enclosers play. That's how the Late Surgers play, right? For Late Surgers, there's 2 cards that are notable for you, which is Zeno Rob Roy Speed as well as Nice Nature on your left, right? Zeno Rob Roy gives you Lie in Wit, which is a goal recovery in case you needed another +1 goal recovery for more stability because your wits is very, very low, for example. Right? Enclosers, the only thing that you really need to hunt for is straightaway spurt. So if you must use Ashaka Wit, that is something that you have decided upon, or you use Hishi Amazon with the power bonus. That's the more likely option. Use Hishi Amazon plus Rice Shower Power on a horse with stamina bonus, and kabamo, you got it already, right? So you can just use that deck over there, or if you just want to inherit, use Ashaka Wit. That gives you guaranteed straightaway spurt every single time. After that, we have the possible strategies. For the possible strategies, you basically have 3 front runners, which is always the most consistent for the front runners, allowing you to go and fight each other. You can put 3 front runners and then play Nimble Navigator also. As long as all 3 of them are fighting each other and they're all even strength, you will be able to eventually activate NSM on one of your front runners, and then you will go zoom, and then after that you can win with angling, scheming plus the zoom, right? So that's up to you if you want to do that. You can also do the very specific runaway one, which is basically I run away and then I purposely lose, and then I purposely let my front runner go zoom by NSM off of the Suzuka and then go all the way to the end of the game, right? So that's what you can do also if you want to try to win with your runners. After that, if you want, you can also also hedge your risk by basically making 2 front runners so that you always have 1 front runner option, and then you just put in 1 backliner, and then that 1 backliner is just here to gamble only. So you just gamble Spurt, gamble Umastan, gamble NSM, whatever the hell you want to gamble. So you at least have 1 emergency option in case things go bad for your front runners, like maybe they blocked or they rushed or some shit like that. Right? After that, we got the triple backliner. Whoa, no way. Yeah, exactly. You can straight up go triple backliner. You can also go for pace chaser plus backliner. Any of the variants all work. Right, backliners are very good for this CM again. So all of the casuals who only want to make backliners, hooray! Or for those of you who hate ghost ship, I'm so sorry, cause it's like 90% ghost ships again. Right, it's literally just ghost ship again. Right, so if you want to bring your Libra Cup horses here, I will totally understand, cause your Libra Cup horses may be overstammed. They are obviously overstammed. They literally have so much stamina inside of them. But if they hit their NSM and their Spurt, they definitely can win, because that's just how you play as an encloser main for these kinds of CMs. So if you want to use your Libra Cup horses, I can guarantee you that they can randomly win, because all you need to do is just activate the exact same 2 skills or 3 skills that you have, and they basically will be able to win the game already. So that's it for the Libra Cup horses stuff over here. Now is the very specific Xmas Oguri section. This horse is so specific that I need to always make a section just for this horse in every single video. Right. The core thing to understand for Xmas Oguri is that you want to activate her unique. Her unique only activates with 3 recoveries activated. The final point where the unique activates is where you want it to activate. So you can control it by using one of the recoveries as the activator. So I'll be referring to that skill as the activator skill. In this CM, 777 is an activator skill. Right, so we will be using 777 as the final skill to activate the unique, and then we will use it for proper acceleration, and then we will try to win using that acceleration. Right, so 2 recoveries at least plus 777. But now we talk about recovery consistency. Sometimes in certain tracks we can buy 4 recoveries. If we buy 4 recoveries, we can actually increase our chances of hitting at least 3 recoveries. If you look at the chart over here, you can see it for yourself. 3 recoveries is only 34% chance at 300 wits. But if you buy 4 recoveries, right, and you pray for 3 recovery activations, is 65%. So that's a humongous increase to your odds. So sometimes we will try to do that. But if you buy 4, right, sometimes we just have to pray. Like basically, if you go to a track and we only have 1 activator and the other 3 skills activate first, then GG. Right, because that is game over. Basically, we activate the skill too early, and now Oguri cannot win anymore. But some tracks, there are 2 activators. When there are 2 activators, now we are cooking. That's where Xmas Oguri truly shines. Then what else do we want for Xmas Oguri? The usual stuff. You usually make her into a backliner, usually. So you can always put Nimble Navigator on her. You can always put gambling skills on her. So you can, as an encloser, for example, put her Spurt. As a lead surger, can put her Palm Iron, moving past and beyond. Encloser also. For pace chaser, can put head on. As a front runner, can throw angry and scheming on her. Literally, you can make her into every single position depending on what your effort level is for this horse. That's why she's so damn good. Right? For this horse, for this CM, the important skills that you're looking for is going to be for pace and for N, because N is good and pace chaser don't have a lot of excel but have a lot of recovery. A lot of recovery means it's very comfortable to build her, right? Because for this CM, you can play 4 recoveries. You will use 777 as one of the activators, right? Either you buy 4 and you just gamble, or you buy 3 and then you gamble again. It's literally gambling either way you do it. It's just the 4 gamble is to basically try to at least hit 3 recoveries instead of hitting 4 recoveries, right? So the recoveries you can use for your pace chasers in particular is going to be your 777, that's core for every single position, as well as your hydrate, your preferred position, your corner recovery, your pure heart, or your ignited spirit stamina. Alright, so that's how you can first do your Oguri as a pace chaser. Very chill, not a lot of other excel options, but it's very easy to do. Right, very easy to do. After that, we have the encloser. Encloser is much more trickier because you really might have to go for 3 recoveries only. There's not a lot of other encloser recoveries compared to the pace chaser position. You have the go home specialist, which you can only get the white version of, which I believe it's called after school stroll, and then 777 and then corner recovery. But yeah, basically you only will either get 3 or you can stretch a little bit and try to hunt down for 4 recoveries, and then you try to gamble the activation for your encloser, and then the encloser also also gets the pump access, moving past and beyond access, and straightaway spurt access. So you can use those to help to improve your win rate. Ultimately, both options is just up to you, right? I'm going to take the pace chaser option because I'm a lazy guy. I just want to make the horse very easily, and pace chaser is super easy to do it because the horse innate skills is literally hydrate and 777. Meaning if I just buy the swimming maestro, that's literally my +1, or I inherit my pure heart, that's another +1. Wow, done already. Pace chaser Oguri completed. And closer Oguri, good luck with finding the recoveries that you need. You might have to search like some crazy places, and you might even have to gamble certain weird stuff like shake it up, depending on what you are looking for, because the recoveries that you get are not so easily accessible, alright, not that easy to access. Okay, so that's basically how you can make your Xmas Oguri. I've given you some sample decks over here. You will notice that it's very, very wits focused, and you really do want a lot of wits with this horse. If you do not activate your recoveries, you're not going to win, but you also cannot sacrifice the stamina too much. But you technically can. Okay, so let's talk about the other part, which is threshold for stats, right? This one is very hard. This one's really very hard because this one, I don't know how much skill points you're willing to invest, right? If you are only throwing in 3 to 4 white skills, then include your unique, okay? Your unique also gives you stamina recovery. You can go for very middle ground stamina. But if you go for multiple gold recoveries, you can nuke your stamina and you just full pray that the gold recoveries activate and then you win. So that's how you can play Oguri multiple times, alright? There's variance to her. There's no one fixed way to make Oguri like every other horse. Oguri, either I pump her full of gold recoveries and just stack up that wit, or I just pump her full of white recoveries and then I make a little bit of stamina so that I don't insta die. And after that, I make sure my weight is also very sizable, right? So that I can activate all of my recoveries. So this is really based on what recoveries you're willing to buy, how much skill points you're going to spend on recoveries, because remember, you are sacrificing skill points to buy golden recoveries instead, right? And what your deck is as well, because some of us cannot hit the stat lines for stamina without sacrificing a lot of stat points into wits, which is also not ideal for Xmas Oguri. So there's many ways to make her. This one is going to rely on your own cards and your own decision making. If you need help with this, feel free to go to the Discord, go to Twitch chat, YouTube chat, or my Ko-fi, and I'll try my best to give you more detailed guidance, because this one is really very specific to the person, but ultimately don't have to worry so much about it. Alright, so if you have less than ideal stamina, simply buy a gold recovery, go for high wits as much as possible, and lower guts is perfectly okay as long as you have the stamina requirement to survive already. Right? Maybe your dueling is going to be worse, which sucks, but ultimately, as long as you have the stamina requirements and you hit the perfect activation, boom, is winnable already. Right? So that's pretty much it for the Xmas Oguri. That's how specific she is, right? Like, it's just a very, very interesting horse and one of my favorite horses. And I'm sure all of you watch Cinderella Grace, all of your favorite horses too, right? So that's pretty much it for this guide over here. If I miss anything, feel free to let me know in the comments or in the Discord. I've gone through a few double checks already for this time, so it should be fine instead of last time. But whatever the case is, if there's any other stuff that you want to ask, feel free to go through all of the other channels that I've given you guys before, such as YouTube chat, Twitch chat, Discord, and blah blah blah. Right, that's it guys. Good luck with your grinding. I'm gonna probably be making Xmas Oguri plus my 2 end closers, because I love end closers, and whenever I can play end closers, I try my best to throw end closers inside. Right, so that's pretty much it guys for this video. Thanks for watching. Good luck with your grinding for your horse. Bye bye.